Good morning, guys. Today is February 28, 2017, and the last day of February. It is the last day of February. This is not a leap year, so we don't get February 29th. What am I looking at today? Today, pre-market, there is some action. ROX Castle Brands Inc. I actually was watching this pre-market. I missed a very good entry on a 5-minute setup. But by the time I caught it, the 5-minute setup was actually just coming into play. And I looked at the news, and the news is basically they have a supply agreement with Walmart. So obviously that's big news. Walmart's a huge company, and for this company to, have a supply agreement with them, it's a good thing. So I saw it on a 5-minute setup, and I'll show you guys how the setup was so perfect pre-market. And usually, pre-market, I don't trade, or I don't like to trade, just because there's not as much activity, there's not as much traders involved, so things usually don't set up. But this one, goes up pre-market 8 a.m. all the way up to 140, pulls back, and then this 5-minute candle to make a new high 121 goes all the way up to 160. So beautiful setup. Within the 10 minutes it goes all the way up to 160, and now it's kind of curling back up. So this is on my watch today, right out of the gates. I feel like it does have potential, especially on the break of 160, which is the pre-market high. If you get that break right at 160 here, we can potentially see 180s. A break of that, we can potentially see 2. So this, obviously, with the big news, it does have potential. What I don't like about it, though, it has a high float. It has a float of 85.92 million, so definitely way high than what I like to see. Obviously I like to trade anything below 20 million, just because the movement, the volatility is there. But with high float, the stock doesn't move as fast, although this is moving pretty fast pre-market. So I feel like once a lot of people start jumping in, this one will have the potential to run, especially with the major news like that. And if traders see it as a positive news and people start jumping in, a break of 160 I feel like will bring in some volume, and we could potentially see a run up to 183. A break of that, we could potentially see a run up to 2. So that's what I would be watching for this on ROX. My next trade for the day is LIFE. LIFE is gapping up as well, above its moving averages, a cleaner chart as well, all the way up to the 5s. It's pretty clean. There's some resistance back in the 430s, but I feel like if the volume comes in and the stock's moving, that wouldn't matter at all. And then the next one we have, till the 5s area. So does have some room to run. Pre-market, it was holding this 415 level, and then it broke through, and now 425 is the pre-market high. So what that tells me, a break of 425, we could potentially see 450, and then a break of 450, we could get a run up to 5. Now with this, again, the float is 11.17 million, so a better float than ROX. It has the FDA orphan drug designation, so the stock got a FDA orphan drug designation, and I think what that means is that they're allowed to do their drug faster or something like that. I'm honest. Oh no, orphan drug, I think that has to do with if that's like the only kind of drug to like help or deal with that particular disease or whatever. Again, I just look for if there's a PR out or press release out, or if there's some headline. I don't really dig much into it, because honestly it doesn't matter. I look at the charts, and that's what I'm trying to learn. So news could be good. It could say that, hey, they got to deal with Apple, but then traders might think it's bad news or something, and they will just sell. So doesn't matter. News really doesn't matter. It's all noise. You just have to focus on the charts and figure out if the charts tell you it's a buy or a sell, basically. The third thing we're looking at is CanF. CanF is probably my watch that I'm just keeping it there, but I'm definitely not looking to trade it, just because the daily chart is not clean. Also, it has a float of 13.18 million, and the news is basically pretty basic, just good preclinical data. That preclinical data was positive or whatever, and it's other than that, it's nothing crazy. Plus, on the daily, previously it doesn't move much, so I'm just kind of watching it, not looking to trade this at all. Just kind of have it up there, just to see, just to kind of learn from it. I'm sure I'll catch something. I'm sure I'll watch it and learn something from it. The last one we have is HTGM. HTGM is a previous runner from yesterday. It does have a potential to run again. Obviously coming from a big yesterday move, 19 million in volume. Goes all the way from the low ones all the way up to threes, and closes really high up too. So definitely has potential. I mean, it might need a bounce. It might need to sell off, to the midpoint, and then tomorrow it might give me a better play. So that's why I'm keeping it on watch. It has a float of 2.37 million, so very low float. The press release came out yesterday about a new product launch. 200 moving average is all the way down here. That could act as support. So if it does come down, that'll be the midpoint, and then we can look for a mid candle bounce tomorrow. So that's what I'm keeping it up there. I mean, if it breaks 350 today, or if it shows some strength, and potentially starts running up towards 350, could be an ideal entry for the break of that. Breaks 350, potentially can run up to 4 today. Or even 445. Does have some clear room to run there. So we'll be watching it there. Other than that, guys, the markets are going to open in about 10 minutes or so, about 12 minutes or so actually. So we'll be back, and then we'll take it from there. Alright guys, so the market is open. I tried, where's my orders here? Let me see. Right here. So ROX, I tried by 300 on this move here, from opened up, kind of dipped down, and then it came back. As it came back up, I tried getting in at 133, and then it got up to 140, and there was an $80,000 seller there. Now for some reason, when I did try getting in, I actually didn't get filled. It was just sitting at 130, or the bid was 131, and I put my order as 133, and I just didn't get filled. If you guys see here, my limit was 133, and I just didn't get filled. And then it got up to 140, and there was an $80,000 seller. Right now there's I'll show you guys here, 140, there's a $133,000 seller. So obviously there's a huge seller sitting at 140, which is going to probably keep the stock down for now. But if you can take out that big seller there at 140, we could potentially open it up to test the high of day. So I don't know if it's going to be able to. I don't know if the stock has enough strength. So we'll just be watching it and see what happens. Other than that, I'm not really seeing anything else happening right now, so we'll just keep an eye on. Just to let you guys know, LIFE did move, took out the pre-market high at 425, pulled back a little, and then got up to 445. The only reason I took it actually off my watch list is because I realized as the market was about to open that it's in the 5-cent tick thingy, whatever their number of stocks that they put in the 5-cent tick setup, where they only move in 5 cents increments on the bid and the ask. And I just don't like trading those, just because either I sit on the bid to get in, or I hit the ask, and if I hit the ask, I'm instantly down 5 cents, and I don't think I'm comfortable taking those trades yet. So I just took it off, because I figure it wasn't a good play for me. I'm watching ROX still. The best entry was this 5-minute setup pre-market, but after that it's just kind of going down. I would look for a first 5 minute to make a new high, after this long pullback here. So I'll see how that looks. Maybe potentially, if it makes a new high on the 5 minute and some volume comes in, could be a potential entry to get in. Maybe it'll test back up to the 140s or whatever the case might be, but I'll be just watching it. No trade so far, just staying patient here. Alright guys, I just got into NFEC on a 1 minute pullback here. Looking to basically, I'm going to put my stop down just below 116 here. So my stop is just at 116. I'm looking for a pushback towards the 130 high of day. It could bring in some volume here. We just want to see if hopefully there'll be some volume coming in right away here, and then once the volume comes in, we would like to see a push back up to 130. Got in on this nice pullback here in 1 minute. It does have a news out today, and it has a float of 3.28 million, so low float. And the news is basically, what's the news here? The news is that they signed a new contract, so potentially could be a nice run up here back up to the high of day. That would be the first target, and then break of that. It needs to basically break this 122 level pretty quick here. If it doesn't get past that, I'm just gonna bail out. So I mean, I got in at 121. My stop is at 116, and I'm looking for a break of 120. Break of 120. 122 here. So we'll see what happens here. There you go. There's 122 again. Let's see if you can break this here this time. If you don't break it right away here, then I'm just gonna bail out, because then I don't like it, because there needs to be some volume coming in as well here. There you go, 125. So let's see if he can get a push now. Let's see if he can get a push back up to high of day, potentially break 130, and then look to sell in the 140s. You know, that's where I'll look to basically sell my position here. So we'll be back. I'll just keep an eye on it. Alright guys, so I ended up getting out at 115. Actually took my, it's funny because I took my stop, as soon as I took my stop from 116, I was going to move it up to 117 actually, just because I didn't like how this candle wasn't gaining any volume. So I was like, okay, you know what, I don't like it. I'm going to just put it at 117. I'll give it a minute or so, and if it doesn't move, I'm just going to bail out. But as soon as I took my stop, it just dropped, but then I didn't sell on the ask. I just tried to getting out at 115, and I got filled. So you know what, I gave it a chance. I figured this could potentially move, and it did. You know, I got in at 121 on the candle to make a new high, got up to 125, but it just didn't gain any volume, and you know, that I think just didn't bring in enough strength into the stock. With the low float and, you know, with news out, I figured that it would bring it, and it just didn't. So that's all right. I took my loss. You know, it wasn't, the stock wasn't ready to move at that time. It could potentially move again, but we'll just keep an eye on it. ROX is basically just still dropping, so no play there. MBOT was another one I kind of watched on this candle here at 646. Was looking to move in with 200 shares, but you know, it only got up to 680, couldn't test the high of day. Now it's coming back down, and again, there's no volume came in as well on this, so I just stayed away from it. Other than that, I don't see anything else right now still, so we'll just be watching it, see what happens. Alright, I just got in BASI on a 5-minute setup here. You know, pulled back a little, and now it moved back up, and I'm basically looking to add more over 228. I only got into with 300 shares at 221, and I'm gonna see if it can you know, move back up there. And if we can get back up to 228, I'll look to add another 200 on the break of 228, and then basically we'll look to sell 500 shares, you know, in the 240s potentially, but we'll see what happens here. It doesn't look like it's moving in the direction that I want it to. Yeah, I'm just gonna look to sell okay, I'm gonna bail out at 215 here. I'm just gonna see once it gets back up to 215, I'm just gonna bail out. I don't like it. I need it to stay above 220. It's looking weak now. Let's see if I can get out here. Okay, I'm gonna bail out at 212. So yeah, I'm glad I bailed out. That's okay. That's why I went in with a partial position, just because I wanted to see if it'll actually test that 228. I didn't want to jump in on that break with a full size. I wanted to get in with 500 share, but I only went in with 300. Wanted to see if it can break this 228, because then I would have added 200 more. Get my average to 222, 223, whatever it would have been, and then look to basically sell in the 240s. But it didn't pan out that way. It did pull back on the 5-minute, couple candles, and then the first candle to make a new high. That's when I jumped in, but it just didn't pan out the way I thought it will. So that's okay. On that, $27 loss plus $6 in fees. So good thing I went with the partial position on that. I was like, okay, well, if it doesn't move, I don't want to go in with a full size, because then I'm taking on a more risk. And if the stock does prove me wrong, I don't want to have higher risk. I don't want to have a higher just the risk, basically. So if I would have gone in with 500 shares, this risk would have been more. Let's see what happens here. I would be pretty upset if it breaks this 225 level and then goes up to 228 again. That would be pretty upsetting. But maybe I had a wrong entry. Maybe I should have waited for a better entry, or could have given it more time. But I just don't think it was worth it if it wasn't going to move on this 5-minute setup pretty quickly and test the high of day. And that's why I just kind of like, okay, if it's, and then there's a big seller came in at 215, and it just looked like it was just gonna have more selling pressure coming in. So we'll see what happens here. Alright guys, so still watching BSI. It tried getting back up there, but got up to 223 and then pulled back again. So I don't know what's gonna happen. It might be a better setup on a 15-minute perhaps, or maybe a 10-minute. I might need a more 10-minute pullback before it runs, or a 15-minute pullback, whatever the case might be. I am done for today. I got midterm at 11, so I gotta go study a bit. And I'm also close to my max loss for the day. I had 2 plays today. NFEC got in at 121 for this first candle on the pullback to make a new high, but there was not much volume came in and it just looked weak. So I basically ended up bailing out at 115. And then I got in at BASI with a partial position of 300 instead of, I wanted to get in at 500, but I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go in with a smaller position just because it's still pretty high up. Although this candle is coming back up, I don't know if it'll break the high of day, and if it would have, I would have added. But since it couldn't get back up there, now it's coming back down, so that's all right. I'll just I'll keep an eye on it throughout the day, see what happens. There's still a lot of things I need to improve. Sometimes I come into place too late. I mean, look, I saw this earlier. That would have been a better opportunity to get in when it was coming up on the pullback here, versus getting in up here, right? Or getting in on a 5-minute all the way up in the 220s when I could have gotten in the 170s, right? So sometimes I feel like I come in way too late into the play, once it already made this move, it maybe needs more consolidation. Maybe one thing I also don't do is I don't give it time to consolidate. I feel like, as soon as it makes the next high on a 5-minute or a 1-minute, I need to move in. But I think I need to start consideration consolidation. I need to start keeping that in mind. Hey, maybe, I don't feel comfortable. I think it needs to consolidate a bit more. Like it is right now, like right now it's just basically kind of going sideways, just figuring out whether it needs to break this 128 or not. For me, jumping in at 120, 221, I could have just waited to see if it'll break this 228, right? Maybe it needs a bit more consolidation and it will break it by the end of the day, right? Maybe it'll go up to 250. I don't know that. But what I do know is that if I would have given it some time to consolidate, maybe I could have avoided this loss. On NFEC, I think that was a good play because it basically just moved up, and that was the of one of the first clean pullback here. Goes all the way up to 130, comes back down to the 9 or 9 EMA, and then pulls back here. So I just felt like this was a clean pullback, so that's why I went a bit aggressive on it, 700 shares. I'm not upset about this. It could have gone my way had it got some more volume, some more attention towards it, but those are the kind of plays that I don't want to miss, right? Because if you remember ROX this morning, when I saw the 5-minute setup, I didn't take it because I was just kind of like, oh, I'm not sure. And if I would have taken that just like I take every other 5-minute setup, I would have made money. But since I didn't, I lost it. And then once I finally, so with this, I did move in aggressively just because I felt like, it got some volume. Now it's pulling back, and it could potentially run back up. I guess if this candle would have pulled back on a lower volume, on a low volume, lower than these, maybe it did have more potential to run. But with a high volume sell off, maybe it just didn't attract enough buyers back in again. So those are the kind of things that you learn with experience. Again, I'm kind of becoming better at letting these losses get to me. If I lose, I lose. It's like there's nothing else I can do, right? I was wrong. Wherever I got in on the market entry, I was wrong about it, and I took my loss, and that's fine because that's what trading is. You just have to understand when you're going to be right, when you're going to be wrong, and you never know before you enter a trade. Both of the trades, I had somewhat of a risk management. I was like, I want to if it doesn't do this, I'll get out. And that's exactly what I did. With this, I could have bailed out in the 120s actually, in the 120s if I would have just been a bit more faster. But I just wanted to give it some time, and I think that's one thing I do also is I shouldn't have given it time because it didn't do exactly what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. I wanted this candle to have some volume come in, and when that volume didn't come in, I need to keep that in mind, and I need to realize that market's not doing what I think it will do when I wanted it to do, so I'm just gonna bail out. And I could have easily bailed out in the 121s, just break even, basically, $10, $12 loss. But I didn't. I gave it some time and did go back up to 125, and I was like, okay, it's moving in my direction. But it still didn't get any volume, and I think I need to keep that in mind. Every time I move in on a 1-minute pullback or a 5-minute pullback, I need to see, as soon as I get in, I need volume. And if the volume doesn't come, and if it just kind of hangs around there and it just doesn't seem to be going in my direction, that means traders are not jumping in as I thought they will, and I'm wrong, and I need to just move out. I don't need to give it time. I don't need to wait. I need to have a breakout bailout mentality on every trade, because if it doesn't break out within few seconds, within a minute of me getting in, that means that it potentially doesn't have the strength that I need it for it to test back high of day, or for it need to continuation. So keeping those things in mind going forward, I feel like it will help me, and I can potentially use that knowledge in the next trades where I do move in, on a 1-minute pullback and the volume doesn't come in. I'm just gonna bail out on the bid, whether it's whether it's a 1 cent or 2 cents loss, or it's break even, or if it's a 1 cent gain, or whatever it is, right? I just need to lock that in and move out. This loss could have been avoided if I would have just been a bit more not lenient. And there's a book I'm reading, and it talks about how people, when you're in a trade, you're always looking for something to be right about. Like, you're always looking for some sort of confirmation that'll say, whenever you moved in you were right. And I think that's what my mentality goes to, because every time I see a stock, I jump in and it moves a little bit, and then but it's not doing what I thought it will at that moment, I still stay in, just hoping that it will do what I think it will do. But it doesn't do that, and I just need to keep that in mind. So anyways, guys, ETRM just popped up here. I'm just gonna see what that's all about. It said it went up. It's too high price for me right now, and I think it's one of the shippers. No, it's a healthcare company. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. There's a couple things I need to work on, and you know what, I'm improving mentally daily. I'm more calm, I'm more collective. I don't just jump into trades right off the bat. I give it some more time. And you know what, those things, there's still some things needs to be improved. I still need to minimize my losses. I still need to get back on a winning streak, or I need to have some sort of winning consistency, and I don't have that right now, and I admit that. And you know what, I'm open to learning, and every day I learn something new, I feel like. And if I can just keep my lessons in my head moving forward, like the volume, the consolidation is one thing that happened in the past too, but sometimes I still need to remember that, hey man, the stock has moved up, although it's hanging around its highs. Maybe it needs a bit more consolidation, and every stock is different. I can't compare one stock to another stock. I can't say, oh, but that stock didn't do consolidation, it just popped right back up. But you know what, every stock is different, and every trade is different. So I just need to have the right mindset in every different trade, according to how it's looking on the charts, according to maybe it pulled up, it does have news, it's pulling back on high volume. Maybe I don't need to jump in. Maybe it needs to consolidate a bit on low volume, and that's what consolidation is. Consolidation, usually good consolidation with a tight, as the range gets tighter, it happens on low volume. So I need to keep that in mind. Moving forward, I need to have those perimeters around my head, and I think that will protect me from making more mistakes in future. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna end this video now. I gotta post it real quick here, and then I'm gonna head to school. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.